Good morning, it's Kemi Olunloyo, and this is IJ COZA for Friday, the 23rd of August, 2019, in Lagos, Nigeria. Last night, many of you heard about what happened with the PFN panel that invited Pastor Biodun Fatoyinbo for interrogation on Mrs. Busola Dakolo's claim that the pastor raped her 20 years ago. Well, a lot of people reported in the news that Fatoyinbo did not show up on several attempts to the PFN board. Well, here's the reason why. I was on the phone all night with attorneys, communications people, and PR teams at COZA. And the main reason, really is the only reason, there's an active police investigation going on, and therefore the pastor cannot appear before any panel or talk to any media. Now, most of you know that I've been trying to interview the pastor, and when I attempted to get that interview, the pastor stepped down. There was a protest in front of his churches, and there was pressure mounted on him, and he stepped down. 30 days after that, he returned to the pulpit. I have not been able to get an interview with him because of an active investigation going on, and this is the same exact reason why he did not appear in front of the PFN panel. Now, the PFN panel says that their results was inconclusive. Now, the word inconclusive is a little bit tricky. A lot of Nigerians don't fully understand what inconclusive means, especially when you have a word that's been used a lot for certain situations. Inconclusive, we hear it a lot with INEC, the Independent Electoral Commission, basically. When something cannot be proven right or even wrong, then it's inconclusive and it's done again or it's conducted again. But in the case of a rape, you can't use the word inconclusive. It's not like we're investigating somebody again or the incident is going to happen again, or, it's not the right word. At the beginning of this investigation, PFN said themselves that Fatoyinbo was really not part of them. They disowned him. And I wonder because when I investigated deep into COZA, I discovered that Modele Fatoyinbo, the pastor's wife, was actually a vice president of the youth wing of PFN in Abuja in 2009 to 2010. That's almost 10 years ago. And then for them to disown him was kind of weird. Now, personally, if I want to get personal, as a journalist, I'll say, okay, so you disown me, you disown my wife, and now you want me to come in front of a panel? No, that's really not the reason. The reason is because of that active police investigation. I mean, I say now that many of you think I'm part of that investigation. No, I'm not. I'm an investigative journalist, independent journalist, freelance, what you want to call me, and I do my own work. My investigation is independent of what the police is doing. Now, the police are investigators. I am not an investigator. I am an investigative journalist. Some journalists investigate things, and that's why they're called investigative journalists. Now, my report, I'm going to package it up, and I'm going to hand it over to the police. I'm not working for them. They're not waiting for my report. It's just what I did. In investigative journalism, we're not supposed to be neutral. We are not supposed to be neutral. We are not supposed to take sides. We are only supposed to go to the story and find out the truth. And that's why today, journalists across the world are using the hashtag defending media freedom. Defend media freedom and truth never dies. Okay, we're sick and tired of journalism is not a crime. You've arrested us over and over again, and this time we're just looking for the truth. If you're not sure about what I said, go and see Christina Mampo's video at the Foreign Office in London. Now, for the COZA case, the reason why the pastor did not show up at the panel is quite obvious, like I said, as an active police investigation. But does that mean it shouldn't appear? Does that give him a right to create an element of suspicion that maybe I did it? No. We have a case where a senator slapped a woman in a sex toy shop. Senator Alicia Abo was arrested by the police and questioned. He was even detained overnight. The woman that was assaulted never showed up to the police. She never showed up to the court hearing, detaining this guy and giving him bail. And to make it even worse, I am a proponent of gender equality. I fought a lot in the Senate. The Senate even replied me a few times on Twitter that they're going to have first and second readings on the GEO bill. And my senator then was Monsira Sumanu, a female from Oyo State. I remember how much I fought for that. And then we have a woman slapped in a sex toy shop, regardless of where she was slapped at. A senator slapped her. She didn't show up to the police. She didn't show up at his court hearing. And worst of all, she didn't show up in front of the 5-man panel. Okay, was it 5 or 4? But Senator Remi Tinubu, one of my favorite female senators in this country, a former First Lady of Lagos State, who is very big on gender equality, was in that panel, and I believe she led that panel. And the woman assaulted here still didn't show up in front of the panel. Alicia Abba showed up. But that woman did not show up, and she's supposedly the victim. She's supposedly the one we're all crying for and wanting the senator to be prosecuted. You see what happens? This is the reason why these panels are not really effective. The police should do the investigation. Can enlisted the PFN panel. It was not necessary. I think the police should be left to work with what they have. Mrs. Akinola has not spoken to anybody. She has not spoken in press conferences. She has not spoken to me. She has not spoken to any media. If you're a rape victim and you want it known that you were raped, your husband should not go out and start shading pastors. Okay, pastors who could be potential criminals. Timmy Dakolo used innuendos a lot before this case broke. There's a pastor in Abuja raping his congregation. There's a pastor in Abuja. Is he raping his congregation now, or it was in the past? The story is twisted. There is no truth to it. Busola Dakolo was not raped. PFN is run by a bunch of pastors who are also under CAN. Fatoyinbo is part of PFN. So is Adefarasin, the Dakolo's pastor, who I've always accused of not intervening in this case. Okay, and allegedly called my dad for me to back off the case by saying that an Igbo journalist was threatening me, scaring an 84-year-old elderly politician. Excuse me, I told Pastor Adefarasin to please call his pastors to order. I know who called my father. I recorded my father, and if I release that audio, it will not be a funny thing for police. Many people are trying to influence this investigation. Many people are trying to somehow do their own thing, okay? And somebody in PFN called me last night and told me that Pastor Paul Adefarasin allegedly called them and told them that they wasted his time and money because he has put a lot of funds into the investigation. Well, Pastor Adefarasin shouldn't be putting funds into the investigation. He should really leave that investigation independent of the PFN. My investigation is independent. I'm trying to reach Pastor Adefarasin now. Now, my source who told me actually works in the PFN, and I hope Bishop Isong hears this podcast that I'm doing. It is very important and very imperative that nobody influences the investigation. I have not heard from the Nigerian police, who need evidence. A source in the police told me they may dismiss the case. I said a source, not the police. Somebody who is a source is possibly a police officer in that investigation. They may possibly dismiss the case because there's not enough evidence. The physical evidence that could be used is not being used. Busola Dakolo's sisters, her 5 sisters, have never spoken about the rape. They've never posted about it. They've never showed support for their sister. And one of them specifically says the parts of Busola's interview with Chude were all lies. The part where she slapped their driver when the driver was looking at her somehow. And to top it all off, if you go to Me Too movement on Wikipedia, go to the section that says impact and read the part that says churches. In that section, the story of Pastor Andy Savage in America and the 17-year-old that he sexually assaulted while he was a youth pastor, bringing her home after a church service, I believe. This is what I see. It is strikingly similar to Busola's story. Is this a scam? Was this made up? It was. That's what I'm concluding, and that's what happened.